Today, I'm going to talk to you about a little guy named Calvin Osborne II, or for short, CO2. Looks like our little Calvin has been born to the marine biosphere. Looks like Calvin is part of a fish, as pretty much every living thing is made up of Calvin and his brothers and sisters that he'll live with his fish buddy forever. Never mind. Looks like Calvin is going to the bottom of the ocean. He stayed there for a while, letting sand, rock, and other dead fish build up on him. And after a few million years, Calvin became part of a limestone rock. I wonder what will happen to Calvin next. Well, looks like Calvin's still a rock, so let's wait a few million years. Oh, looks like Calvin became part of some marble after his limestone rock was heated to extreme temperatures and the minerals in Calvin's rock fused together and expanded. After a while, Calvin rose to the surface and slowly eroded away from the limestone rock. Floating into the atmosphere, Calvin seems to like it up here. I bet he will stay here forever. Oh, looks like Calvin got sucked up by some plankton and then got thrown back out into the water. Calvin almost made it back all the way to the bottom, but then got cycled back up into the surface. Calvin flew back up into the atmosphere, but not for long, as he went right back into the surface. No, 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 no. Calvin, not again. Ah, he went back into the atmosphere. And that's one of the things CO2, like Calvin, do in the cycle, and move repeating processes over and over again. Oh, Calvin got sucked up by a plant and got photosynthesized. Calvin likes it here, and he wants to stay. Oh, but would you look at the time? The Industrial Revolution is finally here. Some of the big changes that the Industrial Revolution made were science, power, economy, production of food and material, the rise in human population, and travel. Together, they are quite powerful. Let's sum it up as going a little something like this. A lot of things about Calvin has had some effects with global warming. But the thing is that there's some other things too that are quite similar, such as nuclear accidents, as nuclear itself makes no carbon or anything of the sort. But the problem is that it can be a little bit dangerous and can cause a lot of disaster if not handled right. Another, which actually can make a lot more of Calvin, is cow farts, which actually aren't as bad as you might think, as actually a more dangerous thing are cow burps, which are apparently worse and hold a lot of bad chemicals due to cows' diet and poor digestion process. This isn't nearly as bad as some of the things, so the cows will be fine for now. Anyway, let's check in on Calvin and our plant. Yeah, so the plant died and decomposed and is in the soil now. Calvin is sunk into some groundwater and is on his way to a big river. Ooh, but looks like he's going into the ocean again. Let's see where Calvin will head next. Well, that didn't take long. And now the clam is dead. After some sediment buildup, Calvin ended up forming into some fossil fuel. Fossil fuels can come in many forms, such as coal, oil, kerosene, propane, and natural gas. Now, I took some time to look into this, and the facts are quite interesting. The amount of things it takes to power something has gotten more and more efficient. It started out for humans with the first fires taking tons of logs just to keep one home warm, but then went to coal, using less to burn, and was massively more efficient. This may not be as efficient to things today, or good for the environment, but is much better than burning tons and tons of trees. Then it became more oil-based, and gas, even hydropower. Yes, coal and oil are still used today, but there's a reason. One we kind of made: nuclear power. is a power so great and massively more efficient than anything we know of. Thinking, well, hey, what about wind or solar? And those are nice and all, but in reality, they're extremely inefficient. You may be thinking, but they're good for the environment. And to that, you're halfway right. Some can be helpful and get energy in nice ways. The problem is how they are made, the space they take up to upkeep, the mining for them all, and that's just a start. This is where, in my opinion, we took a wrong turn, kind of. Nuclear energy just needs a small cup of material to power a city and can last for years with a plant. Just look at lithium mines that are used for batteries and solar equipment, and then look at a coal mine. I mean, just look at this lithium patch. Lithium is highly toxic and there's not much of it in the other materials it needs. Then there's the storage of it. We've not fully seen the other side of it, but as more and more electric cars are made today, we haven't seen what will happen in the next 10 years. As as their batteries die away and can't be used again, they're just thrown away. You really can't reuse it, and it's highly toxic and doesn't go away. You can see this in China where there are EV dead zones where cars are just dumped and forgotten. Now, for nuclear, it might be like, well, what about all those bad things I hear about nuclear? And yes, there have been disasters, but that's pretty much all human error, and error creates success. This is also something that most people have mixed up. A lot of people think nuclear disasters as this big bad explosion, but that's a nuclear weapon. Nuclear plants are what power. Nuclear plants have meltdowns that can be a big problem, but when face to face with innovation, this pushes forward. Nuclear might just be the right choice, in my opinion. But I think we really just have to see the future. So one day, I hope to see something that will make a change. So thank you, and let's get back to Calvin. Looks like Calvin became a lump of coal. If he had been in the right conditions and time, maybe he could have been a diamond. Not today, though. Calvin just got mined and burned for energy. But it looks like Calvin made it back up into the atmosphere. Calvin just found himself a nice looking plant. I hope they will be together forever. Calvin is back in the atmosphere and ready to do his thing. And Calvin got eaten by plankton again. And oh, looks like the plankton died. Looks like Calvin's heading back into the ocean for his next adventure. So, as this story may continue, we have found the end of this video. So thank you, and goodbye.